Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Let's talk about Palantir Technologies, especially as we've seen an extreme swing of volatility after those NVIDIA earnings were released. Now, a few of you guys commented on the last video saying, hey, this video did not age well, and you're exactly correct. Palantir did have some buying confidence in, but we saw this immediate swing to the downside, testing these levels of support that we've seen for after Palantir's earnings. Now, the question is, will Palantir be able to hold these support levels, or will it retrace to previous support levels before we had anticipation of the PLTR earnings? Now, talking about this, Palantir right now where we speak sits at about $14 at the last market close, down about 7.8%. Now, remember, NVIDIA released those earnings that really smashed the records and the analyst predictions at about a $13 billion revenue and $2.70 earning per share. They really outpaced those predictions and caused, I think, a lot of confidence and buying pressure. People trying to get into the buying pressure rally, and that's where we saw Palantir really climb from about that $14, get a nice peak after hours to nearly 16 bucks. That was returned by the next trading days down in an immediate sell-off. So was this basically just a little bit of a rush and a swing trade on the news and settling back down to its support levels? And we're also going to be analyzing, where does PLTR sit if it doesn't meet these support levels? We'll be looking at previous trading patterns. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so make your own decision before making an investment decision, and hit that like button for the algorithm. I thank you guys so much for supporting a small content creator, and of course subscribe if you want to see more videos. So let's pop it up on the screen right here. You see PLTR, like I said, you see the large swing that we do see here. Interesting to see, and does give me an indication personally that people are just kind of feeding off of that NVIDIA earnings. Like I said, remember, they smashed those earnings, especially sending NVIDIA to all-time highs. Now, where Palantir does sit is, you can see, gets a bounce back at about this $14 level of support, and that's where it's closing at, especially at a market cap at about that 30 billion right now, and we have volumes basically right under 100 million. You do have people actually decently trading Palantir a fair amount. Now, the question is, especially if we are looking at these support levels, sometimes I like to just say that history can repeat itself, and that's what we need to look at. And especially if Palantir does not meet those metrics or does not hold the support zone right here, you can see Palantir back here in June is really the last time that it's tested this previous support level of 1380. Unfortunately, if we zoom out, where those next support zones that we have seen, you have a little bit back here in early 2022. That's over a year ago, but you could test the $10 level right there. A little bit of a psychological support level too. And then all basically through 2022, you got Palantir hanging out between the 6 and the 7s. Now, at the $7 level of support, you have a long, kind of year-long, basically, foundational support that's really being established at the 7. And so if Palantir could have a large correction here, or if we see the AI industry in general have a correction, then we could see Palantir possibly come down and test that support level. An example is looking even at C3.ai. You see just then today, they actually had a decent sell-off and down about 11.5%. Same looking graph and large redwood candle bar as Palantir. Now, looking at NVIDIA is where we can change a little bit right here. If we look at NVIDIA and see what they're up to, they're at 471, and they basically close on the day basically even. They had this at the 500, but basically even where we are right now. So NVIDIA could have a large impact, especially because they are the market leader. And what we saw was with Palantir was really, and I agree here with this article, is that they traded in sympathy with NVIDIA during Wednesday's after hour trading session. And what's going on, of course, with Palantir is we're seeing their growth has slowed down a little bit. That this does not necessarily mean that it's a bad company, I think, by any means, in my opinion. And the reason we talk about that is because Palantir was basically almost in line with their last quarter revenues. And what we've seen Palantir is grow in customer count. And we've seen this plus 38% kind of year over year. And customers are great, especially for increasing those revenue metrics. And even though revenue kind of has slightly slowed down, Palantir, one thing is that it is profitable. And that's kind of a rare thing to say in some of these smaller, kind of more speculative, mid-tier tech stocks that are really getting heavily involved with AI. And with them being profitable and having contracts that are with the government does give them some credibility. And I think that's great that we're seeing some diversification in their customer count by not not being solely focused on government contracts, but branching to other public different companies. So interesting to see there, and especially as our total customer count did come to this 421 at the end of last June, that's up 38%. So customers and profitability, and even though if you just have a little bit of a slow in growth, I think Palantir, what a lot of analysts are rating at right now at a hold, I would agree with them personally. I don't think Palantir at a hold is necessarily a bad thing. If we go back to exactly the chart right here, remember Palantir just a few weeks ago, before earnings, people were anticipating earnings on there, was up in the $20. So you basically have the same company, not much has really changed, but now valued at $14.14. So sitting back, taking a breather, and letting these AI stocks cool down may not necessarily be the worst, position to tank. And looking at that and keeping them on my wish list, I'm going to keep them on my wish list, that's for sure. And if Palantir does come down back below $10, then hey, maybe its rating could definitely change into a buy, especially if there's not many different fundamentals within the company. So interesting to see there. But one important thing is just don't get really too ahead of yourself or too emotional on these swings right here. And that's why I think, anybody can always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket and always invest with money that you are willing to lose, especially on more speculative type stocks. That really does take a lot of an emotional fear out of it and kind of takes some of the panic out of it. It makes it more enjoyable. All right, well, take care. Peace out. And I'll catch you guys later.